Hello there, my name is Oliveira, I'm a Brazilian attorney, and today I'm going to answer this question. For use in Brazil, do I need sworn translations and apostilles, and how do I get them? And the answer is yes. For pretty much anything you do in Brazil from a legal perspective, you're going to need to first legalize these documents, you're going to need to have them sworn translated, and then you're going to need to register them in a special registry called RTD. Let's talk about each of them. The first one is the apostille. So whenever you have a document from the United States, such as a birth certificate, a marriage certificate, a driver license, pretty much any legal document, this document is not going to be accepted automatically in Brazil. Before these documents are even recognized as such, you're going to need the so-called apostille. And we're going to link an example of an apostille from New York here in the description below. So you can click and see how it looks like, and it's going to help you understand what you're going to need to have for each of those documents that you're going to use in Brazil, whether for a probate or for maybe a legal residency application, maybe a marriage, and so on. The apostille is actually part of the Hague Convention. The Hague Convention was a meeting of the countries in order to simplify, well, kind of, interesting the word simplify, but yes, the objective was to make available a way for countries to exchange documents among them in a way that these documents would be legally accepted. And the idea of the Hague Convention is that the country in which the document is being issued is also going to issue the so-called apostille that's going to be attached to the document, usually on top of the document, in some countries on the back. And this way the document is going to be recognized as validated and authenticated by the country in which they were issued. Now, an apostille is not enough. You also need, of course, to have this document translated into the language of the country in which you're going to use. And in Brazil, naturally, we speak Portuguese. I heard some people think that we speak Spanish in Brazil, but I never found such a person. Okay, I'm just joking. But the point here is that you need to have the document translated, and you also need to do it in Brazil, because if you do a translation in the United States or another country, Brazil is not going to accept that translation, because that translation, even if the provider is calling, certified translation, is not going to be the same thing as of a sworn translation. A sworn translation is done in Brazil by a sworn translator, who is a translator who went through a formal examination by the state and received a license as a sworn translator. Once the sworn translator translates those documents, they are going to attach a specific ID to that document in addition to his ID and stamps. Finally, after the sworn translation, there is also a last step, and this is going to be valid for most of the procedures, in probates for sure, also very common for marriage, and some other procedures. Sometimes you're going to find a registry or a court that may skip, but also that's pretty standard to have a formal and final registration at the RTD, and the RTD stands for Registro de Títulos e Documentos, which roughly translates as a registry of titles and documents. And this is something very particular to Brazil. It is a registry in which those documents that were apostilled and sworn translated, as well as other documents from Brazil, are going to be recorded to give a public notice to other people that they exist. It's more like a formal step for these documents to be considered as public and accepted for legal procedures and other applications in Brazil. If you need assistance with such procedures, for instance, if you need to record marriage in Brazil, if you needed to homologate it, meaning validating a foreign divorce in Brazil, if you need a probate in Brazil, we may be able to help you. And my recommendation is for you to schedule a consultation with our firm so we may review your needs and advise you on the best strategy for you to accomplish your goals. I hope these tips were helpful. Follow us for more tips, and I see you in our next video.